Call this Altoona City Council meeting to order Monday, June 10th at 6 p.m. We will now have a moment of silent prayer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
Linda, would you take the roll call, please?
Councilman Beatty.
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Here.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Here.
Councilman Ickes.
Here.
Councilman Kelly is absent. Mayor Pacifico.
Here. Okay, we have a few presentations on the agenda tonight. First, joining us from the Blair Regional YMCA is Phyllis Baker and Frank Capriva to talk about the Angie Giosa 4th of July Memorial Race.
Good evening. Thank you for having us back here. I'll start off with a report from last year's race. Last year we had 847 participants, which was a pretty good year. We've had over 1,000 in that race. Just to give you some stats on where these people came from, there were people from over 13 different states that participated, including Washington, D.C. We had people from 71 different zip codes in the state of Pennsylvania participate in the race. But it truly is a hometown race because 329 of those participants had an Altoona zip code as their address. So it is a tradition. This will be the 51st year, and we appreciate it. We hope so far we're had 150% of registration from where we were last year. So we're hoping for another good event this year.
And we couldn't do it without you folks right here, especially Chief Merrill, Chief Free. Without the protection we get from the city police and the fire station coming and opening up fire hydrants, and especially city council, you know what a treasure this is. But it can be a bit of a task, too, having everybody out there for a 15K race. The neighbors, they love it. They come out. They support us. But we want to truly say we appreciate the fact that we can do this, overtake the city from about 5 a.m. to 11. We hope to leave the city as clean as we found it, especially Heritage Plaza. And this year, Councilman Ickes, you're going to be up on the podium with us. Or the flatbed truck, and you're going to welcome the folks to the race. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I plan to do the 5K as well.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to get them on the flatbed and get them right off at the 5K start so you can jump in the line. But without the help of the city council, we can't do this. We invite you all to the start line if you would like, and we invite all the city residents to participate, whether it be hosing down somebody on a hot Ruskin Drive ride or just cheering everybody on. Without you folks, we could never do this. So thank you so much, especially the ones who protect us and keep us safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next we have city ordinance approving guarantee for Altoona Water Authority Penvest loan. Attorney Jens Damgaard from Eckert Siemens.
Good evening. Pleasure to see a lot of friendly faces. It's been a while. But I'd like to summarize the ordinance that you'll be considering here, first reading tonight, and then hopefully then a final reading at your next council meeting. But I'd like to open with a little bit of explanation of why this type of ordinance is before council. In 2017, council and the Altoona Water Authority entered into a transaction whereby the water system, the entire water system, the entire sewer system that had been owned by the Water Authority, legal title was transferred to the city. So the city technically owns the water and the sewer system that serves the city and surrounding municipalities. But simultaneously with that transfer, the city immediately leased it back to the Water Authority so that the Water Authority would have the power to then continue operations as it historically has, as well as set water rates through, as it has done in the city and surrounding municipalities. The reason that was done was as owner of those two systems, legally, the city is then entitled to a rate of return on those assets, which are basically similar to what a private utility is entitled to earn as a rate of return on similar assets. Looking at the rate filings that private utilities do at the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission as a model. So those analyses were done back then, and they should be done periodically hereafter to look at what the city's entitled to earn and see that it doesn't necessarily cross that line, or so for information as to what that number would be. It changes based on, again, what PUC analyses are from year to year. That would be done by a rate study, and I think the Water Authority does do similar studies from time to time. So, as owner of the system, any type of improvements that are financed, particularly through the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority, PENVEST, has to be, and it's historically done and traditional for the municipality to guarantee those loans because you have an interest in the asset and also your involvement and so on. Because of that lease and the related transaction, that you are in effect guaranteeing a loan that improves an asset of the city. Now, that loan, in particular, this loan, it's in a competitive process for the Water Authority to get this type of loan, and that's evidenced by the fact that this is a 30-year fixed 1% interest rate loan, 30 years at 1%. Obviously, that's subsidized by a variety of sources, including Commonwealth funds and federal funds. So, obviously, a good deal, and the Water Authority shouldn't get credit for having achieved that. So that is what the city is guaranteeing by a pledge of its full faith, credit, and taxing power. Again, that's traditional, and it's something that PENVEST typically asks for this type of transaction. Now, to provide comfort to council that the Water Authority has the wherewithal to pay this new loan as well as its previous loans, the engineer, Gwynn Dobson Foreman, will provide a report that will be filed with the state showing that the rates and charges that the authority sets based on the customer base and so forth will be sufficient to cover this new loan and will not seek any kind of payment or reliance on payments from the city. So this loan is what's called self-liquidating debt. You see this term lease rental debt. Yes, here we have a lease, so it makes sense here, but really what it means is any type of guarantee or promise to pay in the event of a default is considered lease rental debt under a law known as the Local Government Unit Debt Act. So that's what we're complying with here in this ordinance, that particular statute, to enable the authority then to deliver the necessary paperwork to PENVEST. The closing of the PENVEST loan is scheduled in August. So with the July meeting, with the next meeting of council scheduled, we should be able to meet that schedule because it has to go through a review process with the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. So this is the enactment. This is the start, the first consideration, but the enactment will then trigger the process of filing the necessary paperwork, including that engineer report I mentioned. The city has entered into these types of guarantees a number of times, very similar in form to this, to both the ordinance and the guarantee agreement that it approves. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions. regarding the ordinance or the process.
Thank you, Jens.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
you
you.
being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I guess I'll excuse myself, and then I'm again available for any questions between now and the final reading.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, before we open up the floor for public comment, I have to announce that we had an executive session after our last meeting on the 13th for personnel, real estate, and potential litigation. And with that, we will open up the floor for public comment. If anybody would like to address council, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Elias Rivka. I am a physician on Chestnut Avenue. I have been in that location for a little over 20 years. And I would like to make a presentation, a very short presentation, about the upcoming project that is housing unit in the what is currently is a playground between 111 and 121 Lexington Avenue. For over 20 years, this small lot, it's 100 by 120, has done a wonderful job as a playground for the neighborhood kids. Our area has many, multiple small housing units, as you are familiar with the area. It is zoned as a low to medium density housing area at the zoning, in the zoning. And that playground has done a wonderful job to entertain those kids who live in those small houses with not much space to play. In fact, across the street, there's a few years ago, there was a 12 unit that were built as a housing project designated for low-income families who live there, and they don't have much of a backyard to play, so they were all going in there. You can see any afternoon about 20 kids playing in that playground. However, recently, and this is a little bit background about that area. Now, recently I was informed that a gentleman by name Durbin has acquired this playground. Now, I don't know Mr. Durbin. He might be here on the council or in the meeting. I don't know him, never met him in my life. But I understand he acquired this playground and intend on building 6 residential houses in an area no more than 8,000 square foot after the easement and the pushback from the alley and the main street and the neighboring houses. This actually makes this very high density housing to put 6 families in 8,000 square foot. And it is my understanding that is expected to house 6 families, and you expect about 12 kids in addition to what we have in that already existing project. And but this project will leave no place for those children to play, none whatsoever. Because the playground will be closed. And the question that came to my mind when I first heard about this, how somebody who runs a community action program, because that's who ran the playground before, and I think her name was Lisa Han, how would she sell a playground that's for children to turn it into a building project? I just couldn't understand what was the logic behind it. And aren't there any other places in the city of Altoona that we can put such a noble project? Because I think the project is noble, to help people who don't have enough money to run high rent apartments and who work hard but just their income is limited. I think that's a very noble project. But to cancel a playground for it, I don't think that was the smart location for it. And one cannot help but ask where these kids are going to play. Now, as a business owner and a taxpayer in this neighborhood for over 25 years, the only place I can see and for those kids to play is the parking lot of those businesses. Now, I can't talk for other businesses, but I'll talk about myself. I own 2 lots in there. One is my own clinic. More than half my patients are senior citizen over 65. Now, all of us, some of us not reached that age, some of us passed it, but when we get into older age, our reflexes get slower. And you're driving a truck, you're driving an SUV, you're backing off, the kids in there not gonna see it. It's a disaster waiting to happen. The second clinic is a pain management clinic where most people there are on mind-altering medications. The same scenario is expected in those. In fact, the other day, I just took a kid off the air condition. The kid was sitting on the air conditioning unit. The kid has very small finger. It can go through the screen, and the fan can easily cause a problem in there for his finger. It can
Dr. Rifka, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your 5 minutes is up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
My name's Steve Hess. I'm a CPA, and I'm at 127 Lexington Avenue. And I might say that 35 years ago, we built a building there, and we were the comments from the city, they said, we really appreciate everything you did in helping the area clean up. So now you build the housing units across the street, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with building the units across the street, but if you look up and down those streets, there's cars on both sides of the road from 2nd Street down. People from the supermarket come out of there doing 40 and 50 miles an hour down that street, and some kid's gonna get killed someday. And even if you don't stop this project, you need to put some police down there to start watching the traffic coming down there and stop that. There was a young child come out of the house and right in front of my car, had to jam the brakes on and almost hit him. As far as the playground, it's already closed. So now the children play in my parking lot. And they come in there every evening and every week, on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and they have their scooters and and they slide down from my office to down through the doctor's parking lot. And I don't have a problem with that, except for the fact that they don't belong there. They belong in the playground. And I believe that always I want to say, I don't know if this playground's going to go through or if it has to be approved by you folks. I was under the impression that they just couldn't go in there and build without getting some type of variance. And I felt too that there was if there was an objection to that variance, that you had to do something about it. And I believe that they already asked for a variance because of the fact that there wasn't enough room to have to park cars there. So I just think, I think it needs to be looked into. I don't know if I can enter these letters that I have here.
Yeah.
You can give them to the city clerk.
Rather than standing here reading them.
Thank you.
And I might also add to those kids who I try to get along with. They come out and they're throwing stones and rocks through the parking lots all the time, and we're cleaning them up. I think you really need to get that playground opened back up. I think it'll be a disaster for you to build another low income housing in that area. Does anybody have any questions of me on this?
Nope, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Ami, A-M-I-G-H. I'm speaking for my mother, Judith King, one of Dr. Rifka's senior citizen patients. I'm speaking for her. She has been a resident of 36th Street since 1986, and she has had a water bill since I believe 2003, probably longer. She was connected to the, and I know this isn't the Water and Sewer Authority, but I wanted to come to you guys first because I know you guys select the board there. She received a letter recently saying that she's been receiving sewage at her address since 2003 and has never been given a sewer bill. So now they're expecting her to pay for sewage dating all the way back to 2003. My mother's 75. She just had open heart surgery. She lives on a fixed income. This is a problem. Now, they were kind enough to offer a nice payment plan, but a payment plan going back that far isn't going to work for my mother. Now, while we understand that, money is owed, this is a clerical error on their part. This isn't the fault of my mother's. And for them to punish her by making her pay this full amount, payments or no payments, I don't think is fair to her. What I'm hoping is we are going to attend the Water and Sewer Authority board meeting. We're hoping that one of you may be willing, or maybe all of you, go to this meeting and represent her also, just to try and clear things up and reduce this number, bring this number to zero, because, again, it's not her fault that this clerical error was made. Okay? May I submit her letter?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take a look at that?
Hey, Steve, by the way, thanks for coming and letting us know. Was it Steve? Paul. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, we will close the floor and move into the resolutions.
Item A is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Monday, May 13th, 2024. Item B is awarding the Altoona Transportation Center renovations project to the following bidders. General construction to J.C. Orr and Son in the amount of $954,179. Plumbing construction to K&K Plumbing Company of Johnstown in the amount of $38,595. Electrical construction to Westmoreland Electric Services in the amount of $233,300. HVAC construction to Haranick Sheet Metal in the amount of $410,000 for a total amount of $1,636,074 with $1,145,251.80 payable from a multimodal grant, and the city's match of 30% in the amount of $490,820.20 payable from ARPA funds, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item C is approving a sidewalk maintenance agreement, Union Avenue to 31st Street Crescent Road with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for new and replacement sidewalks within their project area, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item D is approving a contribution agreement with Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for the installation and upgrades of stormwater facilities within their project limits, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item E is authorizing the interim city manager to enter into a professional engineering agreement with the EADS Group for consultant engineer services for the period 2024 to 2029, and further authorizing the city clerk to attest to same. Item F is authorizing the filing of a declaration of taking for the purpose of obtaining an easement for property owned by Jason Miller and Robert Miller at 1717 North 6th Avenue with respect to the intakes project, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item G is authorizing the filing of a declaration of taking for the purpose of obtaining an easement for property owned by John Davis of 1712 North 5th Avenue with respect to the intakes project, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item H is in accordance with the Home Rule Charter of the City of Altoona, approving the sale of a 1992 Wells Cargo Hazmat trailer removed from service to Alpha Fire Company of State College in the amount of $500, fair market value, plus all other fees associated with the sale to include transfer fees, and for the city clerk to execute all documents related to the sale. Item I is approving a contract for police services with the Altoona Housing Authority for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 at the Green Avenue Towers and the 11th Street Towers, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item J, I was informed it was going to be tabled, so does that, can it be? They would have to make a motion to table it. So we can just do that later? I should just read it, or?
Read it, and then they can make a motion.
Okay. Appointing the Altoona Police Chief Joseph Merle to the AMED Authority to fill the unexpired term of Councilman Dave Ellis, said term on the AMED Board. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2027. Item K is amending the 2022 Community Development Block Grant Program, transferring $16,440.98 from the 2022 HUD CDBG administration to the Single Family Rehabilitation Program. Item L is amending the 2023 CDBG program, transferring $272,331 from the 2023 HUD CDBG administration and $30,000 from the Fair Housing Administration for a total amount of $302,331 to the 8th Street Curb and Sidewalk Project. Item M is awarding a demolition contract to G&R Excavating of Tyrone for the demolition of the following properties: 715 North 6th Avenue, 1229 4th Avenue, and 628 North 9th Avenue in Altoona, PA, in the amount of $25,170 payable from the Blighted Property Program, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item N is approving repository bids in the amount of $300 submitted by Courtney Wynn of Lyons, Georgia, for property located at 1464 to 66 Washington Avenue, in the amount of $300 for property located at 2005 to 07 3rd Avenue, Altoona, PA, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district forms. Item O is approving repository bids in the amount of $250 submitted by Creighton Decline of Lithonia, Georgia, for property located at 208 to 10 East Cherry Avenue, in the amount of $250 for property located at 1109 to 11 17th Avenue, in the amount of $250 for property located at 1810 12th Avenue, in the amount of $250 for property located at 2409 to 11 Oak Avenue, and in the amount of $250 for property located at 1926 12th Avenue, Altoona, PA, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district forms. Item P is accepting the proposal for consulting services submitted by Strategic Solutions of Pittsburgh to assist the city with the city manager's search, reorganization of community development, and prioritization implementation planning of the objectives and strategies outlined in the 2018 Community Development Plan and outlined in other studies payable in accordance with the rates and fees set forth in Exhibit A, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Or is there anything that needs to be deleted or pulled for separate vote?
Can we pull for a separate vote, item J to table?
Okay.
And then also pull items N and O for separate vote.
I think the appropriate thing is to move.
Do the J first.
Someone
makes
a
motion to table.
Which I am doing. I'm moving that we table item J at this time. We need a vote, we need a vote on that.
Need a
on that
second.
vote.
Second.
Jesse.
Okay, there's a motion to table item J and a second by Councilman Kelly and a second by Councilman Ickes. I'll call for the vote on that. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
I would be a yes, but do I need to abstain? So it involves me. Okay, yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yep.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the motion to table passes 7-0. And you want
There we
item,
go. Items N and O.
And is in Nancy.
Yes.
N as in N and O.
Separate vote.
Yes.
Okay, I will call for the consent vote first on all items excluding the tabled item J, and items N and O. Okay. This is the consent vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
And the consent vote passes 7-0. And then on item N, approving repository bids. Approving repository bids in each of these are in the amount of $300 by Courtney Wynn of Lyons, Georgia. The first one is property located at 1464 to 66 Washington Avenue, and the second is 2005 to 07 Third Avenue, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district form. And this was Councilman, you asked to have it, these
Yes.
pulled, okay, I just want to make sure I write that down, 'cause I didn't. All right. All right, Councilman Beatty,
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
No.
Councilwoman Klinich,
No.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
No.
Councilman Ickes,
No.
Councilman Kelly,
No.
Mayor Pacifico.
No.
And the vote does not pass, 0-7. The second item is item O. And it is, these are all in the amount of $250, and it is approving repository bids submitted by Creighton Decline of Lithonia, Georgia. First property is 208 to 10 East Cherry Avenue. Second one is 1109 to 11 17th Avenue. The next is 1810 12th Avenue. The next one is 2409 11 to 11 Oak Avenue. And the last one is 1926 12th Avenue. And further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district form. Councilman Beatty,
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
No.
Councilwoman Klinich,
No.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
No.
Councilman Ickes,
No.
Councilman Kelly,
No.
Mayor Pacifico. And the vote does not pass, 0-7. And we have ordinances on the agenda tonight, 3 of them for introduction. The first one is incurring lease rental debt as defined in the Pennsylvania Local Government Unit Debt Act in a principal amount not to exceed $7,500,000, evidenced by its guarantee of 100% of the payments due under debt obligation of the Altoona Water Authority issued to the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority, PENVEST, in connection with the water system operated by the authority, and pay unrelated expenses, authorizing a guarantee agreement by and among this city as guarantor, the authority and PENVEST as lenders securing the debt obligation, pledging 1, certain water system lease revenues of the city, and 2, the full faith credit and taxing power of the city in support of its guarantee, appointing a sinking fund depository in connection with such guarantee, and authorizing related actions and documents. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance was introduced by Councilman Butterbaugh. The second ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Altoona amending the code of the city to amend Chapter 405 entitled Lease and/or Conveyance of City-Owned Lands to authorize conveyance of city-owned land located at 201 Beach Avenue, 205 Beach Avenue, 209 Beach Avenue, 213 Beach Avenue, 217 Beach Avenue, 221 Beach Avenue, and 225 Beach Avenue to the Redevelopment Authority of Altoona for $1, reaffirm the remainder of Chapter 405, repeal all other ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith, provide severability of provisions, and provide an effective date. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance was introduced by Vice Mayor Ellis. The next ordinance is an ordinance for introduction is an ordinance of the City of Altoona amending Chapter 700 Vehicles and Traffic to rescind Article 11 Moving Violations and further rescinding Section 700-57 Engine Brake Retarder to provide for severability of provisions and provide an effective date. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance was introduced by Councilman Ickes.
Okay, city manager updates. Nate, anything?
I don't have a whole lot. Just a couple quick updates. Flag Day celebration is this Friday downtown, starting at noon. I don't know if we're making free hot dogs again. So it's the normal, the honor guard. So that'll be at noon. Summerfest at Levity Brewing is this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. They have some bands and I think yoga in the park. They have a couple things going on down there. So if anybody's around, check it out. Pool's open for the season as of this past Monday. We had a couple nice days this past week, and it was warm, and the attendance was up for that. And on the RA side, and since we have employees that staff the RA as of right now, we have a few RFPs out on the street. One is for 1305 to 7, 18th Avenue, and then there's another one for 1329 21st Avenue. The proposals are on the city's website. Proposals are due July 8th, and you can check out the website for more information.
Thank you. Council discussion items. Councilman Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to direct this to Chief Merrill and to Chief Free. I want to thank the members of your departments who were over at the Jaffa yesterday for the community days, and certainly appreciate the participation, and thank you for being a part of that. Mayor, question, do you still have your finger on the pulse of the Pennsylvania Municipal League?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's some legislation moving, as there is on a lot of places. I'm thinking Senate Bill 1236, which I think is Senator Loughlin's bill, that has to do with squatters.
Mm-hmm.
I'd certainly be supportive of anything we can do to help homeowners and landlords with that regard. I'm amazed at the number of people in the city who have expressed to me their concerns about that.
Yeah.
And when you have older folks that are even maybe afraid to go on vacation, but I think if you're a landlord and you have a vacant property, that's a really extreme concern. And I just think that anything we can do to help support legislation like that would be a good thing for communities all over the state.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Eckes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick here, I know that the month of May was pretty busy, and I'm sure Councilman Ellis, not to put him on the spot, will elaborate further, but I want to thank Overflow Church and their work during the month of May on their cleanups over town. It's really good to see the programs that they do and support folks helping clean up neighborhoods and making it easy. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Butterbaugh.
I just wanted to say I've been getting a lot of calls about the various construction projects going on around town and the various diggings up, like of People's Gas, replacing some lines and things like that. And I do understand there's going to be a good bit of paving taking place here before too long, so just asking everybody to be patient on those things. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to start with the Overflow Church. The cleanup was the 5 Wednesdays in May. Bergmeyer's donated roll-offs, and then we filled 10 roll-offs of stuff that needed to be landfilled. And I think it had a significant impact on the area. The pastor targeted from pretty much Kettle Street to 12th Street, and from 7th Avenue up to about 1st or 2nd Avenue. During the project, we also did some work on 4 different houses to try to improve the neighborhood there a little bit. Also, today started team efforts programs across the county, and they have graciously taken on a couple projects to help some people get out of code issues. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the county commissioners for their $30,000 contribution to team effort and $50,000 commitment to help people get out of code issues. And that's available, a grant program available for $5,000 per person or per household, and it's owner occupied. Probably have a lot more, but that's good for now.
Thank you. Councilman Beatty.
Yeah, I'd like to encourage people, the RFPs that are out for the redevelopment authority are ready to be responded to. You can find them on the city's website. I think it's under contracts and, Linda, is that under contracts and RFPs?
Yeah, it's under an actually called RFPs.
There's a spot, if you scroll down on the page, that gives you all the information you need for that. And this would be a kickoff. This would be a great way to get started if we get good responses on that to move forward to doing more projects. The other thing I'd like to report is I spent probably 2 or 3 days up at Prospect, and it's being well run. I think the Y's doing a great job. The diving board is a hit. The kid, there's never a bare time that it's not being used. And you know, I think that was a really positive thing to get a little bit older group of kids up there. So everything looks good. It's really pretty, and it's safe, and it's clean. So hit Prospect Pool. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Klinich.
Yes, I just wanted to thank again the Altoona Police Department and Fire Department for another community event at Baker's School. We had our grandchildren there, and they graciously showed them the fire trucks, and the police talked to them, so it was just very nice. They got to see inside the police truck also, so thank you so much for providing that for the community days.
Okay, thank you. We'll take questions from the media now. Bill?
Thank you. Could somebody explain what is the intakes project?
The guy you should have asked was sitting right next to you earlier. So that was the project that you missed when we did our field trip last week with council.
sorry.
So you should ask the other guy who went along. It's the project that we had been working on, but it's, I believe, 10 to 12 places in the city where water runs down from Logan Township and or other places in the city where there's been a pipe that's just kind of been extended through the city. It was probably an old creek bed at one point in time, and they've just kind of grown and grown and grown, and we get to the end of the city, and the Public Works Department has a hard time keeping those clean. They know of storms coming in, you know, we can clean them. They get covered up with a lot of brush. They're pretty big watersheds, so they'll clean them up, but the storms that just kind of fly in off the, you know, just out of the blue, I guess, you know, we get back up and then the water comes out onto the streets and whatnot. So it's more of a nuisance flow. So that is the project that's underway. The takes that are part of this, every one of those locations is not like within city property. It's just, you know, kind of against two property lines. And for whatever reason, we haven't been able to get a hold of the owners to, you know, give us 15 feet of easement to get in there and construct these. So this is just sort of a precautionary measure at this point. We have a lot of them signed, but there's a few that we may have to, you know, potentially take to legally do the project.
Okay. Is this intended to deal with the issue in Valley View where all the?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, so this is all spread around all over the place.
Yeah, there's probably 12 all through the city.
Okay.
Look at the story in the mirror. I'm kidding.
Sorry. You got me there, Kissel. Never mind. I got a question written down. I know the answer now. Could somebody explain the hiring of strategic solutions for the three different issues? I guess the city manager search. I mean, like what's the status of that right now? I guess.
Right now, we're still kind of in a holding pattern with that. Nate's doing a good job. Kevin and Rob are doing a good job. So there's really no big rush to fill that position now. We want to try to utilize them in a way to help us piece together the community development and planning department again, since we never really fully restaffed that department after COVID, so that's going to be probably the first thing that they look at when they come on board, and then eventually helping us get to a new manager.
Would that have to do with a manager for the redevelopment authority also?
Yeah, that'll be a piece of it as well.
Or an executive director, I guess. And is the final thing that's listed in the agenda, or on the agenda, is that the every 5-year HUD plan? Are you going to use them for that? Is that what that is, or am I mistaken?
No.
Oh, well then, could somebody explain what that community development plan is?
Oh, yeah, it was a study that they did back in 2018.
Who did?
Strategic
Oh, the same
Solutions.
group.
Mhm.
Oh, and so there
It's
would,
a public document. You probably have it if you, but
Right,
we
I
can get it
probably
to
do.
we can get it for you.
in other words, they'll try to put that into practice. Is that what you're
Mhm.
saying? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, would anybody care to say anything about the Beach Avenue properties? Like, were they like demolition vacant lots that just happen to be side by side?
We tried to do a little bit of research into that, and we think that there was maybe houses there at one point because there is water and sewer taps there, but we couldn't find any records of when a house stood there. So I'm not sure when the city acquired those lots, but we've owned them for a while now.
So this transfer will enable the RA to go through with the project that
Yeah, that we've been
they've been talking
discussing.
about, okay.
Yeah.
And then could somebody, I guess, Joe, would you explain the last ordinance, the moving violation ordinance, what that means?
What that is, Bill, is, if you'll recall, that provision was enacted almost exactly 3 years ago, and there was a question at that time, because it's a balancing act, the engine brake retarder, it is an approved safety device on a vehicle, and there is a question of, restricting that use, is that of a benefit to the general welfare of the community, having a truck coming through an urban area without being able to utilize that. So even though that ordinance was passed 3 years ago, the city continued to kind of look at the situation, study it, monitor it. And the city just, believes that the benefits of them being able to use that outweighs any negative impact. So.
Oh, so I misunderstood what I
Yeah.
saw there. That just eliminates that brake retarder
Correct.
restriction.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of wondered about that issue, I mean, that's essentially so they slow down, right? Without using their brakes,
Yeah,
burning out
that's
their
what a brake. Yeah.
Sorry. Does anybody know, I know Jens Stamgaard was talking about it, when is the next study due for the Altoona Water Authority's ability to pay the city? I hadn't known that was based on how much the PUC would allow. Like, is that something that happens every 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
Bill, as I sit here right now, I don't know the answer to that question. If you want, I can certainly reach out to the solicitor for the Water Authority to ascertain that information.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And would anybody care to comment on what Dr. Rifka and I think his first name is Steve Hess said about the Brian Durbin project on what is it, Lexington Avenue, I believe.
Bill, sitting here, I would agree that there's probably some need for a facility for a park down there, but there's also some other vacant lots in that neighborhood that you could possibly put them on that the city has torn down houses on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody would be willing to look at that, you know, to possibly get something in there to replace that. I have watched that park for a good while, and I never really saw a lot of activity there. So, you know, I do believe there's a high occupancy rate in that neighborhood, especially with the housing project down the street. So I think there's land available there that we could do something. And I think everybody's probably willing to look at it and see if we can, you know, fix that.
If I remember right, Brian Durbin said that that wasn't used very much. I thought I recall him saying that at a planning commission meeting.
I travel past that daily, and I never saw a lot of activity there. But, you know, that doesn't mean I wasn't there 24 hours a day, so.
Right, right. And could somebody, well, maybe it's in the packet, but kind of give me a brief overview of the transportation center project. Is that pretty much the same as it was when it was first proposed 3 or 4 years ago, I guess?
I think so. It was the same grant. We're just finally getting it through the queue, I guess. But yeah, it was renovations to the interior of the transportation center itself, the crossover that goes across 10th Avenue and stops on the train platform. And since then, it's good that we've kind of pushed it back because Amtrak is doing some improvements on the track side. So it kind of worked out. It's really the original scope for the most part of what you...
Okay. Is that being entirely paid for by grants?
It was a 70%, 30% match, and I'm pretty sure that was DCED. No, that was PennDOT multimodal.
And this, what's the where's the 30% coming from?
The city's grant match. Oh no, we Recovery Act money.
Oh, okay. ARPA money.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Thank you.
Already. Meeting is adjourned.